And you work full-time as a music producer, composer?
Yes, I do.
Hey guys, my name is Divi. As you know, I'm an audio nomad. And here I am in KM College in Chennai, where I bumped into someone really interesting called Anjana Rajagopalan. So, Anjana, I'd love to welcome you and ask you a little bit about who you are and what you do today.
Hey, thank you so much, Divya. Actually, it was lovely meeting you and getting to know about all that you do, especially with your little studio in the backpack.
I'm glad you like
It's
it.
damn cool. Yeah, so I'm a music producer, composer, playback singer, animator, ideator.
Wow. Animation is
drawn.
actually the first thing I got into before I got into anything creative. It's the first thing that called me to this form of working from left to right, you know? Like start, next. That's what music production is now, but it started with animation for me, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
And you work full-time as a music producer, composer?
Yes, I do.
That's
I
amazing.
teach as well here at KM. I'm a part-time teacher here, but most of my work happens from the studio.
Epic. So tell us a little bit about, think of it as a pie chart, right? Like maybe your time in the last year, as an example, as a pie chart. How much percent approximately is teaching? How much is, let's say, composing in a studio? I know you also have some really interesting other projects like Firdos Orchestra, which is an all-women orchestra. We'll talk about that in a second. But just break us down the kind of where your time goes in a nutshell.
In general, my day starts off with teaching. So that's about, I'd say, 15% of the day. And then I get into composing or practicing.
So you practice an instrument or you practice some production skill?
I practice vocals.
Oh, okay,
I'm basically
great.
a vocalist.
Right.
That's how I started off in my musical journey.
Right,
Ever since
right.
I was a child, I've been singing. So I like to, practice my vocals on a daily basis.
Amazing.
Or if I feel like it's a little under the weather, then I get into composing straight.
Right.
Or I'll be arranging on a project. I might be orchestrating for Firdos, for example.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So most of your projects you're composing for film?
No, not really. I do work a lot in the film industry, particularly the southern film industry. But a lot of my work happens also with Firdos Orchestra, for example.
Yeah.
And I also ideate live concerts. So I write a lot for live concerts where I'm also a principal soloist, but I'm writing like cross-cultural music, for example. Recently, I
Fantastic.
performed in Poland.
Wow.
So I got to write and collaborate with Polish musicians. And it was the first of its kind in the history of India and Poland. Nobody has written Indo-Polish music
I can believe that.
with Tamil and Polish lyrics.
Oh my
and
God.
both styles sort of interweaving, and it was a huge success over there in Poland.
Incredible.
Yeah, so a lot of my time goes into that kind of work as well. And apart from that, I work with a lot of independent artists like
Okay.
Kebar Vasuki, who's a great writer and
Right.
thinker and songwriter. Yeah.
So I think you guys are getting a taste of Anjana's world, which is what I was really fascinated by, especially to meet a woman from India to be working as a music producer full-time and introduce herself that way is something I've been looking for, because a part of my artist mission is to try and help inspire more women to get into music production and technology, because we don't see it. So to actually meet someone professional like you in the field was awesome. This, I think, is a good time to tell people about Firdos Orchestra. So can you just explain to people what that project is about? Because I think it's super cool.
It is pretty cool. I mean, an all-women orchestra in the UAE
Wow.
performing in tandem with the Firdaus studio, which is absolutely state-of-the-art
In Chennai.
in Dubai.
In Dubai, sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's set up in the Expo City in Dubai. And this project is mentored by A.R. Rahman sir, and he's their creative producer as well. So it's brilliant. They are amazing artists from all over UAE who have auditioned, and it's like a regular orchestra.
And what is your role in the Firdos Orchestra?
I am their music producer.
Right.
And I also work with them with orchestrations. I write music for them. I also help with business development.
So I think we've summarized that you're someone that's not just a music producer, composer, but you're working on international level projects, representing India and some things like the Indo-Polish experience you had, and also the Firdos Orchestra. So I think let's rewind and understand, how did you growing up in Chennai? Chennai is your hometown? Yes. So how did you growing up in Chennai as a girl that loves singing now get here? What's your journey been like?
It's been a wild journey for me because I honestly never thought that I would be a professional musician. When I was, just doing singing, loving it. But harmonies used to fascinate me a lot.
Nice.
And that sort of led me to this choir called the Madras Musical Association Choir.
Okay.
And Mr. Augustine Paul, who also is my teacher and mentor. And I think once I met these people, that's when my life sort of changed drastically. I started writing a lot more orchestral music, a lot more harmonies. I used to arrange for Indian classical musicians like Amjad Ali Khan sir and Lal Gudi Vijay Lakshmi. So I got to work on some really massive projects right at the start of my music production career.
Amazing.
At that time, I definitely wouldn't call myself a music producer yet because I
Sure.
didn't have the technical expertise of sound. I did always seek good sound. That was something that I had an ear
From
for.
an
but
early age?
yeah,
Yeah.
from an early age, I was always sound sensitive as
Yes.
a kid as well.
Nice.
But then, I was not, I hadn't honed that part of myself yet. And then I met Girish Gopalakrishnan, who opened the world of, the sound in the film industry,
Okay.
particularly the Tamil film industry.
Okay.
And that was a place where I got to play around with my skills a lot more. And I learned a lot of things by myself. Like nobody taught me aspects of sound. Nobody like sat with me and told me this is this, that is that. No. So I had to
Right.
learn a lot of things on the job by observation, by playing around myself. I bought my first, Hackintosh.
Oh, great.
With a lot of illegally downloaded samples.
Yep,
And
that's how we all started.
That's how we all start. With, I'm sorry to say this, but yeah, that's
how it
the
begins.
truth. And a sound card and a basic mic,
Nice.
headphones and monitors, things
So
like
no one was, it wasn't like any, you saw someone else doing it and you wanted to do it. You just kind of kept singing, kept having a ear for harmonies, got opportunities and thought, okay, it's time to build my own little setup, and you got a laptop and you got started.
Yeah, and the beauty was that right at the start of my journey, I had some massive projects that I worked on. Like I was a part of this global Sai Symphony, which had artists like Karekudi Mani sir,
Right.
Grammy winning Debashish Bhattacharya,
Wow.
Shashank Subramaniam, Sudha Raghunathan. I sang alongside with Sudha Raghunathan ma'am. And then I was a principal soloist in Germany, in China. We performed with the Wuppertal Symphony Orchestra,
You would have
which is
been
an
young at this
A-listed.
age.
Yeah, I was just 24, 25
Right.
at this time.
But
And
quite formative experiences to learn about the world of more than just being a singer and the whole industry, I guess.
yeah, it was a massive jump, and
Yeah.
all of this was thanks to Mr. Sai Shravanam, who
Okay.
is a legendary music producer, sound engineer, and ideator. He's also a tablaist, and he
Right.
brought me onto this project as a vocal coach and a choir trainer initially.
Right.
And then they saw who I was, so I was a very established opera singer by then.
Okay.
And but this stage and these kind of people, it's massive. It's
Huge.
not
Yeah,
something that I
yeah.
was used to at all. I was very timid as a performer. I
done.
still am. I'm very shy as a person too. So it was massive. It really opened up, the world for me in terms
Right.
of both musical expertise, and I got to experience different cultures, and that kind of blew everything open for me. And I could see myself fitting into this music world more and more and more through experiences
Fantastic.
like this.
So now, through your experiences, you've been working in the field for a while, and you've got yourself to an established place. She's too humble to say it, but I was lucky enough to catch her Spotify Wrapped. She just racked up 500,000 streams this year. That's no joke. So my next question to you is: in an industry that, let's just be honest, is fairly male dominated, right? What kind of troubles have you faced as a woman climbing up the ladder and now getting to where you are?
So the first thing I think is I lack role models who are women. So I've never seen women doing what I do today while I was growing up, or even after I thought that I would pursue this as something that I was good at. But I never had women role models that I could look up to or learn from or even think about. And I think that's very important. Whatever
Definitely.
you identify yourself as with, in terms of gender or whatever else,
Yeah.
you need to have people from those identities occupying these spaces. And there was nobody there. Of course, we had Sindhu Rajaramji,
Okay.
who was a music producer in Chennai. But then by the time I came into the industry, she was not here. She had moved to the US, and I was
Oh.
not really exposed to her work and things like that. But in the music industry who were active, and there was nobody of that
Especially
sort.
in a full-time sense. That's when I was really
No, there's nobody
taken
like
by what
that.
you said, that this is what you do, and that's my dream, to make it in the music business. Making it doesn't mean being a superstar. It just means paying your bills with your skills. Would you agree?
Exactly.
So that's my dream to get to as well. And so that's why when you said it, I was like, wow, you would have had such a unique journey, not just because of all of the other challenges that exist, but this added one that is often not even spoken about. So
Yeah, and the hard part about this is that to find yourself being completely comfortable in a space which absolutely lacks women. I don't have women colleagues today.
right.
Even today,
Even in the studio, even if it's not a lead role, but is someone that's like a studio engineer perhaps, or a recording engineer, assistant even, nothing.
we do have some today. There's Anjana Balakrishnan,
Okay.
who works
Another
in
Anjana?
another
Cool.
Anjana. She wrote to me on Insta, and I was so happy. Oh wow, another my
Anjana
namesake,
in the
who's a
music
sound
industry.
engineer, and that's really
Epic.
cool.
What
That's
a
really
feeling.
cool.
I have never had another Divyaksh reach out to me ever.
I don't think you'll see another.
I don't think it'll happen. Anyway.
Yeah. So it was nice. I mean, there are some today. Of course, Rahman sir's team has seen some women creative supervisors like Hiral
Amazing.
Viradia, who's also doing movies by herself today.
Great.
We had Srinidhi Venkat, who was a sound engineer with him.
Okay.
So, but very, very far and few, and definitely not anybody who has the kind of skill set that I possess today. Like
Right.
I can orchestrate, I can sound engineer, a music producer project end to end.
Mix,
I can
master
do a lot
it,
of
export
things.
it, all that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So to find, the lack of such talents, it definitely is a challenge to power through this space when you don't see representation.
Correct.
So that was one major challenge that I still face today. And the second thing is mansplaining.
Right.
It
Okay.
happens a lot. I hear this even from women in the general tech space of IT, or if they're from the STEM
Background?
worlds as well. Yeah,
Right.
they face this a lot, and for me, it's no different. To be honest, I've had people explain to me what a single circle means mono and then a double means stereo. And this was at a phase when I was mixing and mastering tracks by myself.
And they knew that you're from that level. They knew you weren't just a student walking into a room. You had introduced yourself as someone that's working in
As
the
a music
industry.
producer,
Music
yes.
producer.
And for me, it's irrespective of whether they know this about you or not. I think they would never say
that.
this to a man.
Yeah,
When
I
they see a man, they don't assume that you don't know these things. Like I'm telling you, like even simple things of when I have to get my audio monitors repaired.
Right. You go to the shop.
I go to the shop and I talk to the chief electrician there, and they go right down to
The basics.
and not in a way to educate you or something, but it comes from a very condescending mansplaining
Oh, right.
place. And
That would be
we
frustrating.
are so exposed to that we can sense the difference between this and that. So
Yeah. I can imagine.
yeah.
That's a big problem. Have there been some other issues as well? Just so that other women that are watching this, that are into the music production space, that are as passionate as you are, can look out for these things. Do you have any advice for them as they navigate?
Yeah, I think the third major problem that I, again, still face today is that I have to constantly prove who I am
Okay.
a little more than what my male counterparts would have to do.
Okay.
So, for example, if me and a male conductor, we walk into a room, it's assumed that this person is a better conductor than you are or has more knowledge than you do.
Yeah.
Subtle things here and there make a
imagine
huge
that.
difference, especially when everything has been a struggle for you to get to where you are already.
Correct.
These little things really irritate you.
Yeah.
And it occupies mental space. It's sad that we have to think about navigating these things on
Yeah.
a day-to-day basis. And a lot of us even forget about such things quite often because it so normally happens in our daily lives. And of course, when it comes to sexual harassment, there are issues that women face in the studio as singers, and I'm sure as technicians, if we have more technicians in the studio, which are all male dominated spaces, I'm sure that anybody who's not a cis hetero man
Yeah.
is going to face all of these
Some
problems.
kind of harassment.
Yeah. So
That's a dark one.
Yeah,
And are you finding that there are bodies or people that, where people are able to raise complaints and things like that, or those systems are simply not in place?
they don't exist.
Right. And then the men, I think we were having a chat with Chai, and then she mentioned that these men then sometimes go on to win awards,
Yeah,
and that's really
it's screwed up. It's what it is.
I was
It's
trying to find a
screwed
word
up.
for
It's
it. I think
screwed up.
screwed up is the right
Like
word.
I've had students of mine, women students, who have told me that they were actively kept out of studio spaces when the owners of the studios have told them that you know what, this is a space where men come in often, and you need to be careful about how you behave with them, or if they misbehave with you, you can't be going and telling other people about it. You'll have to put up with it. So in essence, you're keeping the women away from the studio because of the
Right at the outset.
misdemeanors of men, and it's supposed to be the other way around. Like this,
Yeah.
this doesn't make sense at all to me, and I was very upset. I was genuinely upset when I heard about this. And she
for
was a
sure.
person who was very passionate about music production. Whether she would be good at it or not is a second question.
Right.
But
Was she just starting out and then she got this message?
yeah. So, see, this is another crucial difference, I think, in the experience between men and women. Because for you to be a good music producer or to reach any sort of level within this industry, you need to have a lot of playing around time
Absolutely.
with your skills. You want to do things unfettered and without any judgments and
Things will
like
sound
that.
bad before they sound good.
Exactly. So you need spaces where you can, securely try these things.
Yes.
Those are completely lacking for women, I would say.
Because as soon as a woman perhaps tries something on a console that's a little different and unique before she finds the potential answer around the corner, do you
That-
think the man will step in and say, that's not how you use an EQ, and come in and try to fix things?
I mean, that may happen too, but that's
Right.
not what I'm saying. In
Okay.
essence, what I'm saying is the space itself is becoming inaccessible to a woman because of things like this.
Men in the room and
Men in the room,
Yeah.
who could potentially misbehave. Therefore, the women are kept. This is like saying to women, don't go out at night because
Yeah.
you may get molested or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Rather,
but in a
it should be the
professional
other way
setting,
around.
which is messed up just from the get-go.
Yeah.
So,
But
and-
having said this, I should also
Sure.
say that I have had the good fortune. It's sad to even say that this is how I would look at good fortune, but thankfully, I have not faced sexual harassment at the music industry workspace.
Okay, that's
So
great.
that's,
that filters out all other spaces, but that's for another chat. That's
Yeah.
India in general, which is unfortunate, but that's a whole other chat.
Yeah.
That's at least good to know. And have you also mentioned in the beginning a few good men and male, figures that helped you in the start of your journey. So I
Yes.
guess there has been that as well. But let's try and be a little solution oriented if it's possible, right? Like, I know that this is such a bigger thing that two people sitting in a room can't do much. But perhaps one of the first things we spoke about in terms of finding solutions to this is Anjana was saying in the beginning of this chat how she didn't have any women producers out there in the field to look up to and even know this was therefore a pathway that was identifiable and something that feels achievable. So, just recording this podcast is one thing we wanted to do. So, hopefully, if there's another music producer out there that is female, identifies as female, they can watch this and know that there is a way. What are some other things that can happen? Whether it's you giving someone like me advice, I consider myself a male music producer and an ally. I consider myself a feminist. I believe in equality, of course. So, what are some
I
things?
really appreciate that.
Of course. What are some things I can do, firstly, or if you want to talk about macro, like industry level, that would improve it for women to get into the scene?
Yeah, I think I'll break this down into a couple of different ways to look at it. First thing is,
Right.
directly to the women music producers, aspirants, or if you feel like any part of you does sort of resonate with this kind of a work profile, I think you just get on Insta and look for people first.
Good,
Today,
cool.
thanks to social media, it's made it a lot more easier to find people who I'm able to resonate with. And,
Nice.
even if I didn't have role models while I was growing, I mean, I'm still growing, of course, in this industry. But today, at least, I do see a lot more women music producers across
Awesome.
the world, even if not so many in India.
Yeah.
I do see, I have met this Norwegian music producer who has Sri Lankan Tamil roots. Her name is Meera Tiruchelvam. Look up her work; it's brilliant. So she and Guttu Abera, if I'm not
We'll
wrong.
add these in the description.
Yeah. So she does some really, really cool work. She plays the flute and she produces all of her music, right from
Epic.
the beats. She mix masters her own work, and it's really nice to see such women existing in the
Yes.
spaces.
I want to add a
And,
couple. I'm sorry to interrupt. There's a page called Music Production for Women.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the UK. I think the founder is Indian origin as well, but I could be mistaken.
Okay.
They do some amazing stuff and also like free masterclasses and workshops for women, which is fantastic. There's also Rachel K. Collier, who's an Ableton certified trainer. This is more now from my electronic kind of world. She's fantastic. She teaches as well and is Ableton certified as well. So that's another good one to look up. So I think having like knowing and finding these role models out there and knowing that they're there and that it's a changing time is a good step one already.
Yeah, you don't feel alone in the world.
Correct.
So that's what you should, put yourself into first. That once you start feeling alone, that's the end of it. It's very difficult to come out of that mind space. But
Yeah.
once you feel like you have other people in that space and you could be one of them too.
And you could reach out to them. Like I'm sure someone who's passionate, if they reach out to you, you'd be nothing but supportive.
Of course. Yeah. So that's one thing,
one.
that they could do. Second thing is, I think culturally we need to change as a society.
Right.
This is on a larger scale. That because music production, composing, being successful at this demands a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think women are not privileged with personal time.
Right.
Right from a very young age, you're always conditioned to live your life for somebody else, either aiding their life, enabling their life, or it is you are always living on somebody else's terms and trying to satisfy their expectations of what they want you to be.
We were talking about something as simple as cooking. She asked me why I returned from Australia to India. And I said, one of the big things for me in India is that I don't need to cook because you can go and support a local business like a dhaba and get a healthy veg meal for 100 rupees. And that gives me, on average, I would say 2 to 3 hours back in a day. If you add up in Australia, groceries, dishwashing, this. I get that much time back to put back into my work. And I love that. And when I said it to Anjana, she said something that was such a blind spot for me, which was that's another issue for traditional women or women in a conservative setting in India, is that they're not just cooking for themselves, but they're cooking usually for the husband or the family, and it's just expected of them. And they can't do something like go and eat at a dhaba and then just go and spend the rest of the time producing. And it was such a wake-up call for me. That's a little privilege I have that I was not even aware of. So
Yeah, this is not just women in the traditional setup.
right.
These are women in the most urban settings you will find
Right,
women
okay.
like this who have, it's out of conditioning also. Even if
true.
they want to break out of their mold, life makes it so difficult for them to come out of it. And I empathize with them and I feel sorry. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But I
Right.
think parents need to be more mindful of this, that women have it hard. Even if they have not made it hard for them at home, in all possibility, they would be facing these kind of differences, as compared to their male counterparts in schools, in studios, everywhere. So gift your child or your music producer the privilege of time. That's the best thing that you can do for them.
Beautifully put. Just give them the space to do their thing.
Yeah, give them the space and support them in every possible way. The other sad thing, I think, in terms of when we talk about privilege, is that in general, music production is an expensive business.
Yes.
So you, only if you have a certain kind of privilege and access to equipment, access to studios, access to people who have these things,
Here
in
we are.
society. Yeah,
Yeah.
here we are. It's so easy for us, but for somebody from an underprivileged background to be here and to be able to access these things, society makes
a
it
dream.
so hard, at every step.
Yeah.
So
And that's why, if you don't mind, I'll add a little message as my philosophy as a minimalist and as an audio nomad is don't let the gear stop you. Your computer has a better mic than one of the more expensive mics years ago. The speakers in the computer are getting so much better. A cheap pair of earphones and headphones goes a long way, and you can get free and trial versions of softwares or a free DAW like Bitwig. Totally free new DAW has come out, and you can just go on YouTube and learn and at least get ahead rather than think that you need this because I don't put this in my backpack and I still release music independently. So while there is a space for studios and jobs and an industry there, which is what Anjana actively works in, don't let the gear stop you. So if you're even a girl or a boy, it doesn't matter starting out, just go ahead and make the most of the tools that you have.
Yeah, beautifully put. And this reminds me of another thing. When you said that, go out there and don't let the equipment stop you or limit you. This very mindset of wanting to go out there and getting things and playing around with things, that adventurous spirit is another privilege that you can give to your girl child.
Yes.
Because that is often something that is
Suppressed.
curbed from their, right from a childhood. They don't allow women to be adventurous. God forbid something bad happens to her and things like that. All kinds of things.
Right, all sorts of fears.
All fears, and very, very natural, real, tangible fears. These are fears that I live with every day. It's a battle. But once we let our kids, be stopped from achieving their dreams because of these fears, it's also counterproductive.
Correct.
It's another reason why you don't see a lot of women in these spaces. It's their adventurous spirits are curbed right from a childhood. So as an adult, suddenly they are not going to get it from, it's not going to fall from the sky into their head.
Yeah.
It's a journey to, get from being a shy or a slightly introverted person to become more adventurous, to want to seek and to want to reach out to people. And so that is also another hurdle that women face. So these are all cultural hurdles. Culturally, we need to change as a society. Otherwise, not much of change is going to happen. We can offer
totally
all the
agree.
music production courses.
Yes.
We can offer all the technical help. We can give out free equipment, and it's still not going to make a big change.
Yes.
Unless we change as a society.
Right.
I think all of these things need to happen parallelly.
Correct.
It's not about this needs to happen first and then it's this and then it's this. It's not particularly chronological. I think everything needs to happen
At
at
the same
whatever
time.
pace it can
It
happen
can.
so that we just
But I agree that
speed in
the
things up.
cultural ones are the foundational ones, without which it doesn't matter. Every free workshop and podcast like this that you do, if the cultural one doesn't happen, then I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Last one for you. Bit of a bold one. Feel free to say it as you need to, right? Now, I would like to think that there's also a few younger male producers like me that are watching this, and they might be working in studios in the future and things like this. So let's forget about the people that are probably already, like the example you said, where they say there's a lot of men in the room and this is just how they're going to be. Let's exclude them because maybe they're a bit too far gone. But ones that are still more in their formative years and they can instill good practice, what is some advice that you can give them so that they're more respectful and build a more diverse workplace for women?
Talk to women.
Just talk to women.
Just talk to them about their issues.
Right.
One thing that I've observed with men is, again, something that they do very subconsciously, and it's an entitlement that they grow up with through social conditioning, is that I see them to not be as open to others' problems as much as women are.
Interesting. So empathy.
Empathy, yeah. Empathy in general, I feel, is a little lesser in men. On an average, if you take 50 men and 50 women, we are socially conditioned to be more empathetic because that's expected of us and that's what we see around us, and we are that way from what we see of our role models.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Not just caregiving, it's just opening up yourself to a
Right.
little bit of what the other person is experiencing as well.
Right.
So I would say that's a good start. That simply talk to the women around you and try to learn about their life experiences. It doesn't have to be a sob story every time.
yeah,
You
of
know.
course.
Just simply learn about life from them,
Yeah,
because
their
their
perspective.
experience is going to be completely different from yours, and it's nice to learn about each other's experiences. And like we were speaking before, that helps as well with music production too.
Yeah.
Culturally open yourself up. That really helps at how you look at sound and how you look at arrangements, and everything changes.
Fully agree. Like life informs your art very much. A lot of people, I
Yes.
think, live in a nutshell thinking if they just spend 8 hours a day on their craft, they'll get better. But it's actually sometimes going camping or going to an unfamiliar place or talking to someone you don't, or striking a conversation with your auto driver
Yeah.
that sparks those ideas.
Yeah. So that would be one thing that I tell them. And then the second thing is, of course, mansplaining. A lot of men
Yeah.
do it.
Just be
Again,
conscious
not,
about it.
just be conscious about it. I understand that, there's social conditioning that's both ways. So it's okay. We don't need to demonize men also for
Yeah, sure.
being
This is
conditioned
a
that way.
constructive chat. I get that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's meet each other halfway. and then start from there and see how it goes.
So maybe one practical thing for mansplaining, as simple as this sounds, could be maybe if let's say a guy is working with a new woman in the studio in a music setting for the first time, do you think perhaps first asking them about their experience, like who are they, where are they from, what kind of work have they done so far, and then working accordingly?
Yeah, that would help mighty. I was recently chatting with a friend about this and I was telling him to that, just simply asking him, hey, do you know about this?
Yeah, rather than
Is
this is
something
mono,
that
this
you
is
worked on?
stereo.
Yeah, instead of just straight off, offering your gyan.
Correct.
Simply ask. And this goes, with anybody, not just a woman, with anybody, especially women, you have to be cognizant of this about. But then you talk to anybody with such respect and they would be very happy and they'll feel respected and validated
Yeah.
in your eyes. And that's all it takes.
That's
it's very
so
simple.
small and practical and actionable. So if there's one thing you take away from this, and whether it's you're working with a woman, I think it's just good practice working with anyone new as well, is just take a little second to get to know the other person. Ask them good questions, really listen,
Yeah.
and then proceed. Fantastic. Just to wrap it up, like what are you working on right now? You're working on so many cool projects. So give us a little nutshell. What does your door look like right now? What are the projects you've got?
My days have been chaotic, to be honest, the past few months. I just wrapped up the Indo-Polish project, about 2 months back.
Okay.
So my DAW was, of course, busy with a lot of Indo-Polish music. And now I'm working on 2 films as
Okay.
a music director. So I'm a composer, music producer in the project. One is a Tamil film and it could be called Maya Kuttu. We don't know. We're still sort
Ooh,
of...
working title, exciting.
Yeah, working title is
Nice.
that. It's a beautiful film. I love the team. They're such nice guys to work with. It's a project I'm really having a lot of fun with. So that's a Tamil film and it'll be hitting the theaters probably March next year.
Epic. Wow,
Yeah.
working on a feature.
Yeah, working on 2 features.
2 features, right.
So this Tamil feature and then another one is an English feature.
Okay.
It's by an Indian filmmaker in LA. His name is Jana and it's called Dreams of Fire.
Ooh, nice
It's
name.
another very interesting story and very inspiring, and it's told from a woman's point of view again.
Interesting.
So both of these stories are very interesting that way too.
Okay.
They're very different in terms of what they are, and the genres are very different. So I'm getting to do very, very diverse kind of music,
Super.
within the same time frame. It's hectic. It's very
Sounds
challenging,
hectic.
to be honest.
Especially changing between a Tamil film and a film being made in the States. Can a film be
Yeah.
made in the States and you can compose from India? No problem?
Of course you can.
Nomad life.
Exactly. Thanks to remote working.
Yes.
I think the pandemic really opened our minds up to that.
Super.
So I'm very thankful for that. So that's another interesting project I'm doing. So apart from these 2 features, I'm doing also a project with Swarnamalya Ganesh, who is a very popular researcher and dancer and actress.
Wow.
And we are presenting a production on pleasure.
Okay.
It's called Rakti. It's going to have a lot of cross-cultural music, which I'm composing, of course.
Is that a film or a theater piece or?
It's a live performance.
Live performance, yeah?
Yeah, it's a production. But it's not just dance and music together. It's light, it's sound, it's smell, it's touch. So we are
Cool.
thinking of, bringing together a very sensory
Yes.
production. So we
That
are
sounds
performing-
awesome. I love that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That's really cool. That's another project that I'm really loving working on. And we're performing at the Serendipity Arts Festival in
Oh,
Goa.
yeah, I know that one. My friend works on it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's happening in December.
Best of luck. Check it out and definitely follow Anjana. I'm sure we'll put her details in the chat and you can reach out to her and check out her work and her 500,000 streams that she's racked up. I just love that.
Let's not sell that too much. But yeah, okay.
I'm just messing. Amazing. Anjana,
Yeah.
thank you so much. It's been so much fun.
Thank you, Divyaksha. I really appreciate all the lovely questions you asked. And I can see that you're a very sensitive person who has spoken to a lot of women and, the kind of thought processes that you have and the philosophies with respect to sound
Appreciate it.
and how you make music and how you approach sound production in general is very inspiring for me as well. So thank you so much. Thank you.
One last thing. I know I said that many times. Have you worked with A.R. Rahman, sir? And what was that experience like?
Yes, I have, and no, I haven't. Let me explain that. So I have
Okay.
worked on his projects,
Okay.
but I've not worked with him per se,
I
in
see.
person.
Okay.
So I did bump into him when I was in Dubai for a Firdaus Studio engagement.
Exciting.
But again, I was
Quick
in
chat.
between takes, and no, we didn't get to even have a quick
Oh,
chat.
right, okay.
He was on a call, and it was just like a cursory nod between
Yeah, fair
each
enough.
other. That's it. I've been meaning to meet him for quite some time, and a lot of people have been pushing me to also. So
I'm sure.
I hope to do that soon. I sang also in Cobra, the film
Oh, okay.
that came out. So
Wow.
I sang in the background music. I was the operatic voice when the heroine is dying. It's me singing.
Tragic.
Tragic.
Amazing. Was it cool to hear your voice on the big screen?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you, Divyaksha.
We'll
Nice.
wrap with that.
I hope I didn't blabber too much.
You were amazing. You're such a natural.
तेरी तेरी